Good morning, students. Today we are going to study chapter 20 of social science, that is disaster management. Chapter 20, disaster management. See, a disaster may be natural or man induced. See, it can be natural or a man induced, maybe catastrophic, means that is causing certain great damage, or catastrophic, or it means that the process of deformation of Earth's crust and may have originated where in the interior of the earth, or it may be in the atmosphere. It is felt over extensive areas on the earth, and it also leads to a great devastation, means it leads to a great destruction or damage. And if we examine a few phenomena, it will be clear that a disaster damages lives and properties to a great extent. It affect the life and property. Some events events are like volcano eruption, earthquake, tsunami, etc. All these are collective results of both natural as well as man-induced act. So some events bring pre-planned devastation. See, some are the incidents that are brought by pre-planned and which leads to a great destruction. That is atomic attack by US bomber over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That is the cities of Japan in the Second World War. And whereas some events are results of human negligence or by some kind of mistake. Example, Bhopal gas tragedy. The other one is Chernobyl nuclear disaster of Russia. See, we all know that Bhopal gas tragedy that occurred on 2nd and 3rd December 1984, and at the yeah, it was at the Union Carbide Indian pesticide plant in Bhopal, that is in Madhya Pradesh, and it was the worst industrial disaster, Bhopal gas tragedy. And now we are going to discuss about the types of disasters. See, we are aware of the risk of disasters. We know what effects it has, and to decide the strategy for relief work. So it is also necessary to know all the reason and also to responsible situation when such type of situation occurs, what should be done and what should not be done. So it is important to know all this with the reference of overall preparation for what? For the relief work. And experts on disaster management, they have divided these disasters into two categories. See, the disaster is a sudden accident or a natural event that cause great damages to the loss of life and property is called a disaster. And disaster management, the organization and the managements of resources and responsibilities to deal with emergencies so as to secure and safeguard the human is called disaster management. And to deal with these emergencies, disaster management focuses on preparedness, response and recovery in order to reduce the impact of disasters. See, when we talk about two types of disaster that are natural disaster, first we will discuss about natural disaster. See, experts of disaster management, they have divided into two categories, and natural disaster is a disaster that takes place naturally, that is due to the force of nature. It's called a natural disaster. And what are the examples of natural disaster? The flood, cyclone, tsunami, drought, earthquake, volcano, forest fire, etc. All these are the example of natural disaster. And for these, a forecast is possible for flood, cyclone, tsunami, and drought, while it is not possible to forecast earthquake, volcanic eruption, forest fire. So that was about natural disaster. And see, out of this, experts are able to, when we discussed earlier only, that forecast disaster of flood, cyclone, tsunami, and droughts. And on the other hand, till date, it is not possible to forecast disasters such as earthquake, volcanic eruption, and forest fire. The next one we'll discuss is the man induced disaster. See, a disaster that is caused due to negligence or caused by negligence or a mistake or at the time intention of humans is called a man induced or man made disaster. For example, fire, industrial accidents, bomb explosion, riots, terrorist attack, etc. All these are man induced disasters. And now we are going to discuss each of the disaster in detail and in what to do to be done during that time and what should not be done. First of all, we will discuss about the flood. See, what is flood? It's an overflow of large amount of water beyond its normal limits, which cause several problems. Is called flood, and it is a natural disaster. And see, during flood, a large area of land remain submerged underwater continuously for several days, and flood is associated with what heavy rainfall and overflowing of rivers. Why? Due to the rainfall. When rainfall occurs very heavily, it overflows the river, and the water in the streets they get clogged, and the additional water added to the river and due to the rain starts overflowing outside the river. As a result of that, nearby areas who are there get submerged under water. And see, flood also become very dangerous when some construction activities are carried out, ignoring human activities, drainage patterns, slopes of the land, etc. And flood also damage lives and property on a very large scale. Now we will discuss is what not to do, what should be done and what should not to do during flood. First is what should not to do. See, do not one should not eat food prepared in a flood water. And the other thing, one should not move out of a safe place without collecting authentic information about safe routes and situations. And when we talk about what should be done during flood, see, we should collect our precious items and items of personal needs and immediately take refuge in a safer place. We should keep water, dry snacks, candles, lanterns, matchbox with us too in the plastic box so that they do not get wet. And we should also try to see that first we arrange food for children and elderly and do not keep them hungry. And so during flood and after it resets, we should drink only boiled water, and we should always keep communication device such as radio, mobile phones with us. And see, during rainfall there is a flood, snakes, mosquitoes and various types of insects increase during flood. See, snakes try to move out of a water to take shelter in a dry places like our homes, so hence we should keep a bamboo stick to drive them away. So this was a precaution to be taken during flood. I hope you understood about flood. Now moving towards cyclone. See, what is cyclone? Cyclone, a violent storm or a wind in which air moves very fast in an inward circular direction. See, which direction it moves? Inward circular direction, and that is called as cyclone. And the severe atmospheric storm that are created due to unequal atmospheric pressure, which then leads to atmospheric disturbance. So these storms, they are known as cyclone in India, Indian subcontinent, hurricane and tornado in USA, and typhoons in China and Japan. See the names that have been said. And such storms or cyclones create devastations over the areas which they pass. They leads to a various damages to the area which they pass through. And in India, cyclones mainly affect the eastern coastal areas. See which areas? Eastern coastal areas, that is that they are falling near Bay of Bengal. So cyclones affects Kutch and Saurashtra too. And things that we should do, things to be done during cyclone is what? Keep keep updated continuously with new bulletins on TV and radio to know the expected time of the oncoming storm. And those who have a radio should keep an extra battery with that. Mobile phone should be kept fully charged in advance. Those who have a power bank instrument should also be charged in advance to keep themselves with themselves. Carefully listen instruction, warnings, etc. Broadcasted over radio and follow them. People should stay away from rumors. Store additional food like dry snacks, drinking water in a sufficient quantity. Keep stock You should keep a stock of food and medicines necessary for the children and elderly people. And see if the rescue team tells people to vacate their homes. So they should obey them very strictly and vacate their houses. And use pure and safe drinking water. We should drink only pure and safe water. And people who have taken shelter in a shelter home that has been created by the government or NGOs should obey and frame rules and instructions. So they should obey all the rules and instruction which are given to them, and they should cooperate also with the authorities and should not leave the premises without their instructions. And the people should not take domestic animals tied up to their post, and they should not keep their domestic animal very tied up over there. And if they are free, they can defend themselves in a better way. So they should not keep domestic animals tied up to their post where they are being tied. And the things what not to do, see this should not to be done during cyclone is do not pay attention to the gossips or any type of a rumor except for the instruction issued by weather department on radio. And see if in case if the atmosphere suddenly clams down, rain stops and wind becomes standstill, even then do not go in open area, as the wind or rainfall may suddenly strike again also. And see move out only if government declares it is safe to go out. And do not touch electric poles or loose wire, and keep a very safe distance from them. And also do not take shelter near bigger hoarding or large trees. So this was all the things that you should not do during cyclone. And moving ahead, we will discuss is about the earthquake. See what is an earthquake? A sudden violent shaking of the ground that causes great destruction, and which occurs due to the results of movements that is within the earth crust or volcanic action, that is called earthquake. See when we talk about the earthquake, that is felt how due to the tectonic movements that where it has been there in the interior of the earth. And see earthquake mostly takes place in the areas whose surface they are very weak relief features. And although when experts are able to identify earthquake prone region, but they are still unable to forecast about it an earthquake. They are not able to forecast that at what time which place the earthquake is going to occur. And since earthquakes cannot be forecasted, they cause huge damage and destructions. See, it caused a loss of life and property during earthquake. And now we'll discuss is the what to do. See what should be done in the case of earthquake. So during an earthquake, we should stay where under a large bench or a table if you are in the classroom, and if you are in the school, we should sit under the bench. And if we are in the open space, so we should stay away from what buildings, balcony, electric power lines, or any electric poles. And if we are driving a vehicle, then we should stop. See, when you are driving, you should stop over there. It over over or below a bridge or away from electric poles. You should be away from where electric poles or any power line and traffic signals. And we should also remain seated in our vehicle till the earthquake tremors are not over. You should not come out of the car if you are driving, and we should stop also. And even after the earthquake tremors are over, things like refrigerator, photographs on the walls, ceilings, fan, etc. may fall down later. Why? Due to the aftershock. So hence you should maintain a very safe distance from them. And you also should keep listening to the radio for instruction and guidance about the event. And new buildings under construction should be made what earthquake proof. See, nowadays all buildings are constructed they have been constructed as an earthquake proof only. And that we discuss about what to do, and now we will see what not to be done during an earthquake. See, we should not shout or run in panic, as well as we should not try stopping things falling down after the earthquake tremor. We cannot catch each and everything. Trying to stop them while they are falling can harm us. So we should not do that, and as well as we should not use elevators to move up and down, use a staircase. If we are in the house, if you are in a house during an earthquake, we should not stand near wooden cabinets, near the cupboard, that is safes or mirror or any glass chandeliers. We should not stand because there are chances to fall on you. So we should not light a matchstick or a lighter also. We should not switch on electric gadgets before thoroughly confirming that the cooking gas is not leaking. We should see that cooking gas is not leaking, and then only you should do all these things, otherwise it causes major damage. And this is done to prevent leakage gas from exploding. And we should not unnecessarily keep on making phone calls. We should not make many phone calls. See, excessive calling by a large number of people together can overload the telephone network and hence jam it. So, as a result, important calls and rescuing people, taking care of emergency cannot be made at that time. So, she should avoid it. And so, one should make phone calls only in case of emergency for any medical help or fire or similar situations. So, I hope you all have understood till here about flood, cyclone, and earthquake, the things to be done and what should not be done. Thank you for listening.